All right, here we go. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. Appreciate all of you for tuning into today's show. And we start off with Chet Holmgren. Now, I was a little bit of a doubter going into the draft process because the body type, it was certainly concerning to me, and I'm petrified of Chet Holmgren not being able to add strength over time. Now, I think he's a polarizing prospect. I think he's one of the more fascinating prospects that we've ever evaluated in the history of the NBA draft because the skill set is certainly intriguing. The game is fine polished, and I think that he can do a multitude of things to impact a winning style of basketball, but how will he fare going up against some physically imposing big men in the NBA? Now, keep in mind, this is the NBA Summer League, and while he impressed in his debut against the Utah Jazz, he was slicing and dicing Taco Fall. How will he fare going up against an Anthony Davis, a Joel Embiid, or the Joker, even a guy like Andre Drummond who can hold his own on the low block? That is the big remaining question with Chet Holmgren. But last night, we saw a lot that proved why Chet Holmgren can be a special NBA talent. And social media was going crazy with all of the clips that Chet was able to put forward, and he got to play alongside Josh Giddey. That's just unfair for any team that goes up against these two potential future superstars. We know what Giddey can do. He can be a triple-double machine. Can Chet be an impact player and longtime All-Star as well? Last night it looked like it. 23 points. He was rebounding the basketball, holding his own down low, blocking some shots as well. And Chet Holmgren's game also really interesting because he's a 7-footer who can hit the pull-up three, and he was even hitting Dirk Nowitzki fadeaways from the free throw line. So we're going to take a look at what makes Chet intriguing and then some of the red flags. So elite ball handling skills at 7'1", and on top of that has a really nice shooting touch. And he can put the ball on the floor, he can play down low, and what he lacks in size, I've always said this, whether it be defensively or offensively, he can make up for it with his insane length and that ridiculous wingspan. So defensively, what I mean by that, even if a guy is able to get position on Chet down low, he can make up for getting body down low with his long wingspan, put his arms up, and at least alter, block, or deflect shots. And then offensively, he can really get a shot off from anywhere on the floor. And if a guy at 7'1" is hitting pull-up tray balls right in your eye, then he's blowing by you with a nice little dribble, putting the ball on the deck and getting to the rim, and then throwing it down, then hitting that fadeaway. That's why this guy is such a fascinating prospect. The pull-up threes, rim protection ability, lastly, a very good basketball IQ. And that was on display playing alongside a guy in Josh Giddey, who's also a very savvy and smart basketball player. We'll take a look at the negatives coming up around the corner, but first, I want to hear from you. Grade Chet Holmgren's Summer League debut. As we continue to say, it was really impressive, and this is coming from a guy who had major concerns about Chet going into the NBA draft. A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comment section. Now, for me, the body is still a major concern for some of the reasons that I talked about. And then you look at the frame, it's kind of hunched over a little bit, doesn't have the broadest shoulders, which Kevin Durant did have coming out of Texas. So you look at his legs as well, the skinny hips. How does he fare physically throughout the rigors of an 82-game regular season schedule if he takes a knee to the thigh, a knee to knee? How does he fare, right? And physically, is he able to hold up throughout the course of an entire NBA season? So for those reasons, I do have some concerns about Chet Holmgren. And you also look at the Chet kryptonites here. How does he fare going up against Rudy Gobert, Jusuf Nurkic, Nikola Jokic, Steven Adams, Jonas Valanciunas, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid? These are bulkier centers. Now, what Chet and where Chet might have the advantage, he can stretch out to the three-point arc. He can lure these big guys out to the three-point arc, and he can either get a shot off from there, hit them with a little pump fake, put the ball on the floor, or just blow by them. And then defensively, again, they might be able to gain position on him on the low block, but he has this insane knack for blocking shots that really is special because last year at Gonzaga, around 4 blocks per game. Do you think Chet Holmgren will be a bust? By the way, we're just getting started on today's show. We'll talk about Keegan Murray and maybe Kyrie Irving getting traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but another question and another poll question where we want to take all of your responses. Is Chet going to be a bust? S for star, B for bust. Let me know once more. As for Keegan Murray, he's gotten off to a really good start in the NBA Summer League, and I want to see how some of these guys fare, by the way, in the Las Vegas Summer League. That's where the competition is going to ratchet up a little bit. But you take a look at what he did last night against the Los Angeles Lakers. 24 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 9 of 16 from the floor. And this guy, I didn't like him going to the Kings where he did at number 4. If I was Sacramento, I would have gone Jaden Ivey, even though it was rumored that Ivey didn't want to go there. I would have went best player available. I would have rolled with the dice there and gone with the better guy, in my opinion, in Jaden Ivey, because I think you build with guards and wings right now, and I think Ivey can be a little bit of a less athletic John Morant, but Keegan Murray is a guy who's going to be in the league for a really long time. He's really agile. He's really athletic. The way he runs the floor as a big is also very, very impressive, and because of his all-around skill set, his basketball smarts, I think he's going to be able to be an impact player for a decade. And you watch him. I understand it's Summer League, but the Sacramento Kings so desperately need to get these picks right, and they need a guy like Keegan Murray, who at Iowa was asked to literally do everything, and he passed with flying colors. As for Ivey, he would have been my pick, but I do love Murray's game as a more athletic Al Horford. Better player down the road. Who is it going to be? We're just cooking up some great questions for you on today's program. J.I. for Jaden Ivey, K.M. for Keegan Murray. Get that comment section popping. Now, we've continued to break records on YouTube, but we also put our video content on Rumble as well. It's an awesome platform. Free and uncensored content over there. Sometimes on our live shows like today, we'll be going live on Rumble exclusively. So this is why you give us a follow at rumble.com/NBA now. And also, I don't have to worry about getting censored. I can throw out some curse words if I get emotional and really can't control myself. So give us a follow over there. We continue to go to the platforms that you use. It's rumble.com/NBA now. To round out today's segment, let's just do an NBA rumors roundup. I thought what Bill Simmons said on his podcast was really interesting. He thinks that with Minnesota trading for Rudy Gobert and paying about $73 million to 2 bigs in Karl Anthony Towns and Gobert, there's another move that has to happen, and he's throwing out the possibility of Kyrie maybe getting traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, the T-Wolves would have to get rid of D'Angelo Russell, which I think would be the smarter move because I don't think he's a good fit. If Minnesota, with new ownership, by the way, a new regime, new general manager, keep in mind that when new owners take over, they're desperate to make a splash. Can you imagine the current lineup with Kyrie? I certainly have some concerns about Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns playing on the floor together at the end of a game in crunch time, as well as in the playoffs. And now you're paying more than $70 million to 2 bigs in nowadays NBA that prioritizes wings, guards, floor spacing, and three-point shooting. It's certainly an unconventional approach, and sometimes unconventional wins. Also, aggressiveness wins. And I credit Minnesota for being aggressive. They would be even more aggressive if they land Kyrie in a package that would involve D'Lo. Now, they gave up a lot of picks to bring in Gobert, but can you imagine this lineup if Kyrie is able to play consistently? You sign Kyle Anderson to be your point forward and a guy who can impact games without scoring the basketball. Anthony Edwards is a budding star. Wouldn't surprise me if he's an MVP candidate over the next couple of years. And by now, we know what Cat can bring to the table as well as Rudy Gobert. So if the T-Wolves were able to bring in Kyrie Irving, how many games do you think that Minnesota would win with that team that we just looked at? And by the way, their depth would be pretty solid, even though they parted ways with Jared Vanderbilt, a player who I did really like. We continue to move forward with our NBA rumors roundup. This coming from Shams Charania pertaining to Eric Bledsoe. So the Blazers do plan to waive him. He didn't play with Portland after he was traded there from the Los Angeles Clippers. He's entering his 13th year. Several teams expected to pursue Bledsoe as a free agent if he does get waived by Portland. And obviously when a guy like Shams Charania says that, all indications point to that indeed happening. You look at what he did a year ago. And again, he did not play with the Trailblazers. And they don't need him on this roster right now. Nearly 10 points per game, 4 assists, 42% from the floor, 31% from 3. I was talking to producer Coop earlier, and he's like, you know what? My Maverick, should they pursue Eric Bledsoe? And I said, you know what? I don't think I would. You might be able to get him on the cheap, but he's almost like a poor man's Russell Westbrook, where the game has passed him by to a certain degree. And look, Eric Bledsoe in his prime, it looked as though he was going to be a good player. And when he was playing way back in the day with Phoenix, it looked like he was going to be a very good guard for a long time, and then he never really evolved as a player. Now, as a backup, as a 7th or 8th man, as a guy who's in a more limited role, I think athletically he can still get by, but I certainly do have some concerns about him, and if I was running a team, I probably would not bring him in unless I was desperate for depth at that guard spot. If you made it this far in the video, I want you to type gang. If you're subscribed to us here at Chat Sports, I want you to type gang. We appreciate the gang for supporting everything that we do, and I hope you have a fantastic day or night.